Welcome back, everybody, to episode 9 of the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me today. Luke, how are you doing?
Doing good. We're doing good. So it's another beautiful spring day here in southeastern Minnesota, and
Jealous.
the turkeys are a goblin.
That's good, man.
So.
Yeah, it's we just got about a 1/16 of an inch of snow. So
Yeah, you sent me that video yesterday, and I couldn't help but laugh because I was like, well, at least we're not getting it down here.
Mother Nature has been quite cruel to us from having the incredible weather that we had earlier on back in, early March and then going to winter and then back to spring and back to winter now. So
yeah, can't decide what she wants to do.
Love it. I think we might just go straight to fall, which, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, especially because we just found out we got drawn for South Dakota. So
going back to South Dakota.
Let's go. Let's go is right. Yeah. No, that was a fun, whatever you want to call it, little moment there in time, because I was working in my office and Jen was upstairs getting lunch ready for the kiddos, and she was like, "What did you buy from South Dakota?" I'm like, what did I buy from South? Well, because we're going turkey hunting, but I'm like, I already got my tag, so it's not that. And then I was like, she's like, it was $286. I'm like, oh, that's my tag. I got drawn.
It only mean one thing.
And then that's when I started texting you and Noah and Eric. So yeah,
it'll be a fun trip, and this is a fun time of year too. I mean, well, it could also be sad too that if you don't draw, but a lot of states are opening up. I know Montana just released their lottery results.
Okay.
Not sure about Colorado and a couple of those other Western states, but it's exciting time if you did. So
definitely. So yeah, now we'll be bombing out there for turkey and Black Hills, and then we'll be heading on back in fall for some deer.
Get some pre-scouting in for this fall.
I know. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a fun hunting season, and it's just getting going.
This will be your second trip, right? Because your first one was with me, so this will be your second trip out there.
Yeah. So
nice.
Got that first one under my belt. It was definitely a gritty trip, as you well know, and so I'm not gonna say I hope it's not as gritty because I kind of like the grittiness, but
hey, man, you and your brother earned your stripes. So
we got a stripe under the belt. Now we got to get a deer under the belt, so it'll be fun.
Nice.
I'm jacked.
I'm excited. I mean, geez, this will be my 8th or 9th year out there now. So it's going to be, I feel like probably South Dakota residents probably dislike us talking about wanting to go to South Dakota and hunt, but I feel like I'm an in-state resident because I've hunted there for so long. but I'm not.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun, man. I'm excited. I tell you what, Western South Dakota, that's like probably 1 or 2 in my book outside of Boundary Waters, like some of the most magical places. I don't know why, but it is. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of people look at it as kind of a flyover state, but when you are sitting on those side hills and just glassing up for deer, and
it's perfect.
Hard to beat it,
Can't beat it.
No, and we went out there last November for pheasant, and same thing, can't beat it. It's there's just something magical out there that just makes you feel like you're out in the wild.
Well, it's like the fun thing though too. It's like, when the lottery comes in, you get your draw results, you drew your tag, like, some of the over the counter states are kind of fun, but it's kind of like that anticipation builds up and you're just waiting. It's like Christmas, you get that to come in, and then now it's like, well, sweet. Like now we can start planning out for the next 6 months. And it's always so funny because our wives are all, what are you doing on Onyx? Like, why are you looking at maps and stuff? It's July and it's
for
like,
hours.
We're getting ready. You prepare all this time for the, whatever you go out there for. I'm lucky. I'm fairly close to the border, so for me, I can bomb out there kind of at my please. But like, it's like, you put all this time into it, and you're there for a week, but you want to be successful. So
right. Yep. No, absolutely.
It's a fun trip, man.
It'll be good. But
we got turkeys. We got turkeys to kill.
We got turkeys to kill first, so. It'll be fun. That trip will be fun. It's already getting fun here with opener and getting back out there this weekend for some turkeys. So
nice. What's do you have any plans for kind of plan of attack for for Saturday?
Yeah, I think I have the turkeys pegged to exactly what they're going to do. So that means they're probably going to do the exact
Complete
opposite. Yeah. No, so opener, it was super windy, and they just kind of gave us the go around, and with some rain in there mixed in there too. And we had probably, I'm not even kidding, 40 plus turkeys walking around us at different, time and intervals. And,
Yeah.
But we just couldn't get, there's probably 6 or 7 toms that were just within that mix there, and then throwing a handful of jakes and hens, and
Still
there you
pretty
go.
grouped up then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so, they were gobbling at every call I made. So I think in hindsight, I probably called too much. But I don't know. Like you said, they're grouped up. So you got to be able to talk some sweet magic to those toms to pull them off of that.
And I think it's not necessarily talking to the toms too. Like when you look at, I don't know, this is what I think.
Talking turkey.
Like when they're grouped up in the masses like that. And it's kind of interesting. I think we had a good conversation the other day on the phone, but when they're grouped up in the masses like that, and it's early season, and I feel like every pot of birds that's, doesn't matter. I feel like we're comparing it to like the rut, kind of, where it's like rut takes place generally the same time, but maybe deer are moving a little bit differently in southeastern Minnesota than they are in central Minnesota, vice versa.
Right.
But I think turkeys are kind of the same way too, where, you might be 5 miles away from another flock of birds, and they might be in a completely different pattern, feeding pattern, whatever that might be. So, those particular birds you're hunting, I mean, not only do I think you got to call to the toms when they're grouped up like that, but, sweet talking them hens too, and, trying to convince them to come in, because you can get 5 ladies to come in, you're probably going to see some of the toms.
Yeah. Yep. And that was, that was the closest birds were the hens to us.
Oh, really?
But they still, they were still outside 100 yards. So,
well, you practice out to 100, don't you?
No. I flung them at 100, but I would say, like, right now I am, anything within 50.
Yeah.
With a turkey, though, that's a poke.
That's still crazy. I will say this: we are ethical on this podcast. That we
100%.
We do our best to live within our realms. I want to say there is a video, and I will give credit because he is a world-renowned archer. But I'm pretty sure there's a video on YouTube of Mr. Dudley, John Dudley, shooting one at it had to have been like 90 or 95 yards, and crazy because he hits him I think he hits him in the neck, and the bird just goes. Folds over. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your range, that's your range. So, you got to know, but like you said, you got to know what you're capable of. And a big part of that comes with just practice, not just going to the range and shooting at 20, 30, 40 yards, every single time. Drop back another 10, 20 yards, and you may suck for the long time, if you're shooting 60, 70 yards. But when you're shooting 60, 70 yards and your group is a pie plate, when you bump down to that 30-yard range, that group is going to be tight. So it's all part of it.
Oh, for sure. And like one of my favorite things, I kind of do this with golf too, but and I'm a golf nut, but like getting to know your yardages and like hitting different yardages with different clubs and not getting attached to a rangefinder. Like nowadays it's so modernized, obviously, like in the tour and stuff, they can't use rangefinders, but like, just knowing your stock yardages, and like that's helped me honestly from bow hunting to know my yardages playing golf. But same thing vice versa with bow hunting. Like that's like one of my favorite things when it comes to practicing. Doesn't matter if it's my trad bow or my compound of, I'll just go to random spots, guess the yardage, practice shooting that, and then kind of go back and forth, because you're not always going to get, hopefully you can get time to range it, from being the ethical side, but doing your best to, because I think I run similar to you, where I've got a 3-pin slider, but I think do you have a solo, or do you have a 2-pin slider?
2-pin, yeah, it's that Spot Hog Fast Eddie, so it's the vertical 2 pins, so it's nice. I love it. So yeah, we'll see what they do. Like I said, I think I know what they're gonna do, just because the last few nights watching them go to roost, they've been doing the same dang thing for 3 nights in a row. And so if they're doing the same dang thing for 3 nights in a row, I'm guessing they're doing the same thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's
Good
super. It's it's going to be super windy that Friday before, and then hopefully Saturday it breaks. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be like 30. So maybe get some sweet backlit pictures of a Tom gobbling with some breath coming out.
Love to see it, man. Well, it's definitely been cold. I mean, like it's snowing today, unfortunately, but the weather looks nice. The next week and a half here for everywhere around the Midwest. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of rain, but we're going to get a good little warm front coming through. So things should be getting back.
I think without further ado, we'll bring in our next guest here. Our next guest is Sam Melton, hailing from the great state of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
Lives kind of over by the Eau Claire area. And it's a great podcast. We can't wait for you guys to listen to it. We really dive into a whole bunch of different things, like how he got into not only hunting, but also photography and videography. If you haven't checked out his Instagram page yet, do it. Please, because he's got some sweet, sweet, awesome pictures that really do kind of tell a story about hunting and everything. And his @ sign is at meltoman_8. We'll link it in the show notes. Everyone can go check him out. But great dude. Definitely can picture some future hunts on the horizon with him. So we do have to say there was a little bit of technical difficulties on the studio's end. So the last few minutes of the pod did get cut off, and unfortunate, but still does not take away from an absolutely great conversation we had with a fellow hunter. So without further ado, we'll bring in Sam and we'll get to it. Thanks, guys. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Doing good. Sunny. I mean, I got the door open on the shed here in the mini little studio, and it's a beautiful night here in southeastern Minnesota.
Yeah, it's nice. It got up to almost 70 degrees today, and so it was hard being inside at school. I was just looking out the window all day.
You and the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
What grade do you teach again?
5th grade. And so
Fun.
10 and 11-year-olds, and they come with all the energy, with everything they got.
I bet, especially on a Monday.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Mondays they come back just amped from the weekend, and sometimes they're actually really, really tired in the morning. So we start off with kind of like a silent reading time, and then,
nice.
But it picks up from there.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure. So you're up Eau Claire region, right?
Yep. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So,
beautiful area.
But I am from Spooner, Wisconsin. So that's like an hour and a half, even more north. So,
okay. So kind of closer to like Duluth area.
Yep.
Up that way. Nice. So you're from Spooner. Are you a turkey hunter? I mean, we kind of know the question already, the answer to that question, but
yeah, huge turkey hunter. Probably, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I think turkey hunting is probably my favorite type of hunting out of hunting whitetails and going duck hunting and goose hunting, and then turkey hunting is definitely it probably ranks number 1. So
nice.
Fellow turkey nut, love it.
So when does Wisconsin open up?
So we actually just had the youth season on this past Saturday and Sunday, so a couple days ago, and I actually took out one of my students, which is kind of crazy, but I've gotten to know their family through coaching middle school wrestling, and so took him out and to try to get him on his first bird, and we were so close, but he did fire off a shot.
Nice.
And the bird was probably about 7 yards away, which was pretty tough. He's pretty hard on himself, and after that, but it was the experience all around. I mean, was just awesome. I mean, to have 4 toms at like 10 yards or less, just gobbling their heads off was pretty awesome.
Nice.
So
was that his first hunt?
It was, I think he's been deer hunting with his dad.
But first turkey hunt,
first turkey hunt.
Crazy.
Yep. So I don't know, maybe the pattern might have just been too small at that range, and we were shooting. I did kind of feel bad because it was through. There is a barbed wire fence that goes right there, and then there was just thick thorns and stuff. So I mean, it was a tougher shot, and he wasn't on a tripod or anything like that. And so I remember, my first
Oh,
first
shaking.
bird long ago, you're shaking, and then you got someone that's like, shoot, you better shoot now, like kind of like that. So I felt a little bad. I didn't want to make his first shot like that, but we actually had the toms really close to us like an hour previously, and all they had to do, that was when we were in the blind, and all they had to do was come underneath this fence and out into the cut corn and to the decoys. And I honestly, I have no idea why they stopped or didn't come through. They already passed a fence from where they were. So I was really confused, but yeah, I felt bad for this kid because I was just talking him up all week at school, and then it just kind of didn't happen. But that's
you know what though?
goes.
He's gonna want to come back and do it again though.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
So does he get the rest of the season then, or is he done since the youth seasons? Is it over, or is it still going?
So the youth hunt is just Saturday, Sunday, and then there's a couple-day break, and then first season starts on this Wednesday. So I made a pretty good relationship with another teacher at school, and so he's never shot a bird before, but he's a big whitetail hunter, and so I'm going to take him on Wednesday for his first bird, and I love to take guys out, and especially if they haven't gotten one before, getting someone on their first turkey is the best feeling ever, because they don't know what to expect, and I know it all too well, and the adrenaline and everything, and it's just so fun to try to get somebody else that experience.
I feel like it's a rite of passage for like the level of turkey hunting as you go on, as you killed so many birds, you just seek that new, like I'm on that quest this year right now. It's like, okay, who hasn't been hunting yet? Who hasn't shot a turkey? Who can I take out? Reaching out to like all my contacts and like trying to take out people who've never been out before. And that's like some of the best moments though. There's those first is just, it's so fun just watching, their eyes bug out. They hear that first tom gobble and
Yep. Yeah.
I still do that.
First. Oh, for sure. When they, I think I was probably more excited maybe than they were when they gobbled, because they were gobbling at, I don't know, 200 yards away for quite a while. And then finally they, paused for a while, and then all of a sudden that one at 25 yards, and I was like, oh, here they are, guys, get ready, get the safety off. But
let's go.
So what are the birds like right now, and what, where you're at in Eau Claire? I mean, are they grouped up still? I mean, I'm guessing they're fired up, because in Minnesota here, it just seems like they're ready just to go nuts.
They're very fired up. Not as big groups as I've seen previously, like a few weeks ago.
Sure.
When we had that snowstorm come through. But now it seems like they are breaking up a little bit more. But yeah, just this last weekend, we had those 4 toms were together. But I mean, they sometimes hang out like that a little bit into the first couple seasons. But I mean, there was a couple loners too. But there's a lot of turkeys just in the area and stuff. So it's fun to try to go around and get permission and just try to get as many hunts in as I can and be as tired as I can.
And I'm trying to think, in Eau Claire there, you guys are like a combination of like nice hills and ag, right? For the most part.
Yep. Yeah, it's the south side gets a little bit more hilly, I'd say, than the north side. But yeah, mixed in with a lot of agriculture and cornfields, bean fields, awesome. But still like a really nice mix of wooded area too. So it makes for good turkey hunting. You can kind of drive around just middle of the day, find one, try to get permission, then go. And so you can kind of do it all day, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome. So you like you said, you rank turkey as number 1. Is that how you kind of got into hunting initially?
Yeah, I mean, so my dad got me into hunting. And my family is really big into hunting, and we got lease lands and stuff back up in Spooner. Nice. So always been raised kind of going to the cabin of gun opener and, staying there for the week with my uncles, and then like my 10 cousins that are all there too. And it's just like an awesome time, great week. And then, we've just always turkey hunted too, but mostly kind of started with deer hunting. And so, yeah, Dad got me into it and been kind of doing that since, I mean, I remember, no, I don't necessarily remember, but I seen pictures of me, in the backpack thing, or the chest pack, going hunting with my dad when I'm, 3 years old or whatever. So been basically in the outdoors my entire life, and very grateful for that.
Love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a 3.5-year-old, 2 boys anyways, but 3.5-year-old, and he's already like, I had getting all my stuff ready for turkey season on Wednesday here in Minnesota too. And he was playing with my box call and getting everything. And he's like, we're going out Wednesday. I'm like, yeah, we're going to go. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be raining, but hey, we had good luck with rain before with Evans. So, I mean,
yeah,
we'll make her work. But
yeah, that's going awesome. Back, the rain.
Yeah. Keep going. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. No, the rain it gets the birds out for sure. I mean, they don't always look the prettiest, but it gets the birds coming out on the fields, which is kind of nice. But yeah,
no, absolutely. It's coming, man. It's 2 days away. It's gonna be here, and then it'll be fall before we know it. It's crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, exactly. So you kind of touched on, you kind of got into hunting with your dad. What was that? If you can recall, like that little piece or that little memory in time where that really sparked, your interest, and where you were just like kind of bought into, this is something I'm gonna do for the rest of my life.
Oh, so my first ever deer hunt, with my dad, we, went on a property like a mile from our house and set up a ground blind, and I had a 243, and we were just going for basically any deer that stepped out other than a fawn. But I mean, a doe, small buck, big buck, whatever. And a doe came out, and I was just like, Dad, can I shoot it? And my heart rate was just going, and I was probably, I don't know, 10. And so, that doe walked out and just dropped her right there. And I just remember just freaking out in the blind, being so excited, and didn't care if it was a buck or the doe, and I was just like so jacked. And I'm pretty sure that's probably like the moment that I was like, yep, I'm doing this forever. I love this. And it was pretty special, obviously, too, with my dad. And so yeah, and then you just go and show everyone. Like I'm blessed to have a lot of family up in Spooner. Basically all of my dad's side of the family is up there, and mom's side. And so, nice. Drive right across the road to my grandparents' place and show them when I get something or whatever. And so it just makes all those moments better when you have just tons of family and friends around. So
love
absolutely.
It. Do you guys do like a, like in, I know it's a really big tradition, throughout Minnesota, really anywhere up in the Midwest, but like, for turkey camp, for gun opener, do you guys have like a family tradition that you guys like stick to and usually do and get everybody together?
Yeah, we always get together on that Friday night for gun season for whitetails, and everyone comes up to the cabin, just kind of the guys in the family. Not many of the girls really hunt, but so all the guys get up there on Friday night, and it's super cool. Everyone's coming in. We kind of get our stuff settled, and then we have kind of a dinner, but more kind of get to. Everyone kind of comes into the living room at the cabin there, and all the mounts are around we kind of just, my grandpa just prays, and we just have a time where we kind of just go around in a circle, and everyone kind of prays for, safety and just the brotherhood. And it's like, that's our tradition right there. And it is just like super special to get up there on that Friday night leading into opening morning on Saturday. So that is like the kind of the hunting tradition at the Melton camp.
Nice. Love it. No, I love that, man. And that's, we've tried to hit on that with every time we're on one of these podcasts, but there's so much good that comes out of not, obviously not only hunting, but when you're doing hunting or when you're going hunting and you're doing it with family and friends, and then you get to all get together the night before, it's like Christmas, you get to be a kid again and just think of the, you get to think of all the deer out in the woods that are, you might see in the morning. And then you get that camaraderie of where you're sitting together, sharing stories and probably catching up with people you haven't seen in a while. And I think that's, a main reason why we're trying to do this podcast here, is because we just want to be able to tell people stories, because there's so much beauty that comes in, hunting and fishing and just being outside, and then intertwining it with everyone's, own faith journey. There's just so much to kind of get in on with the whole gamut.
Yeah, for sure. I love just, I mean, meeting anyone and they see I got hunting some shirt on or whatever, and you just like kind of that relationship just starts right there. I mean, you just get to, you almost like have that bond right away just from talking about hunting, and you're like, man, I love this guy, and you just, you just met him. So
Dude, that's so funny you say that. Just like so many relationships of friends I could think of, like that's how it got started. I mean, like one of my really good buddies, Zach Felton, he was our gym coach, or I shouldn't say gym coach. He was our strength and conditioning coach at RCTC for college football. And we're like going through drills and stuff like this. And somehow I got on the topic of like, I'm going to go hang trail cameras. And he's like, oh, you like to hunt? And it's like, yeah. And it was like, we just become best friends. It's like, I guess we did.
It's like that moment in Step Brothers.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
Not really. I mean, I guess kind of switching up a little bit here. And I feel like we should have had you on the podcast 2 weeks ago, but kind of diving into like photography and videography, you are like an incredible photographer and a videographer. So like, tell me just a little bit like how you got into that and like how you just kind of fell in love with it. Because I mean, you, like I said, we'll share some of your, when we get done, we'll get some of your photos and share them up, but you are incredible, man. Like some of the best turkey photos I've ever seen.
Hey, I appreciate that. I really do. Coming from you guys, that's awesome. I started, back in 2020 is when I actually got my first camera.
Nice. Really?
And I've upgraded since then, but that was when I got my first camera. And I've kind of, I was trying to think about that the other day, like when was actually kind of like,
what'd you get?
It's kind of sad because it's a Nikon D. I think it was a Nikon D7100.
Okay.
I thought I was going to forget that, but no, I remember it. But I started with that, and I loved it. Like I just remember my cousins out playing football out in the yard at my house, and like I was back behind my grandpa's pond across the road trying to take pictures of wood ducks flying in. And like, they were horrible pictures, but like, I was like, these are sweet, they're just super blurry, but like I kind of captured the wings out or whatever. I was just like super jacked. And, I just remember doing that a lot. Like just kind of like, I was just addicted to it right away and loved it. And, so then kind of slowly, got better and actually like learned a little bit about, the camera and shooting on manual and stuff like that. And I had a really good buddy at college that was a really good photographer. And so we actually went out to South Dakota that spring of 2020. And after I had just gotten that camera. And so he kind of taught me how to shoot on manual, basically, right off the gate. So I never even really started shooting on auto, which was probably huge because I just got to learn the stuff right away. And then, and it was basically just all trial and error. I mean, I didn't like actually know. And even sometimes right now, like I don't actually know like a lot of it, but like
I'm in the same boat, man.
I've just done so many trial and error that like now I kind of know exactly what I'm looking for, the light that I'm trying to get and everything like that, and the shutter speed and everything. And so, it's kind of a ride there, I guess. And then I upgraded to the Canon R6, which was a pretty big upgrade.
Nice. That's a huge upgrade.
Yeah. It was going from that Nikon to this camera and mirrorless was huge. But I had a pretty cool opportunity to do some filming for a lady that had a smaller hunting TV show, and so went out to Idaho and filmed her shooting a bull elk. And so I was like, I gotta upgrade my gear if I'm going to be, doing some of this stuff. And, so it was well worth it. And I absolutely, love my setup now. And just I just love capturing the moment and, trying to get a really cool picture that can kind of tell just a fraction of the story and what it felt like.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And, coming like me, like I've been doing photography and videography, it feels like my whole life now, but am I any good at it? I think I've taken some good stuff, I feel like, but I'm not like, I look at what some other people shoot and I look what you shoot. And it's like, I suck. And it's cool. It's just so cool to see other people's work. And like, you know, like you were talking about like the trials and just like, you know, cutting your teeth and really learning how to do it. Because like, I feel like as I've got more into the outdoor industry and doing photos specifically outside of videography, like me and Luke were talking on the podcast beforehand, he just picked up, what was it? It's a Canon 90D. 90D. Yep. Yeah. And like huge upgrade for him, you know, from what he had up from the setup before. We were talking about the ins and outs and difference of videography. I told him that, like, you know, he did photography first. Videography is going to be easy for him because he knows how to, you know, compose shots and go through all that stuff. But like photography for you, like, I feel like it's so unique to each thing that you're doing. Like you said, you started shooting wood ducks. If you're to tell me right now, I had to go out and do a photo shoot for Filson and go shoot a waterfowl hunt, I might get like 2 good photos and that's it, because I don't know how to take pictures of ducks besides like opening up my shutter as like long as it can so I can get like as, you know, capture those wings at a still moment. Like there's such an art form for each individual, you know, if it's turkey, duck, whitetail, you know, whatever it is, like there's so much nuances for each one to learn those. So like that's, you know, cool that you've, you know, kind of started out. I feel like waterfowl is going to be incredibly hard to take photos of.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. And like I said, they were not great photos, but it was like that's what I kind of wanted to do. And I saw, you know, on Instagram during that time, I just see really cool photos of ducks and stuff like that, and I'm like, gosh, like I want to take a picture like that. And so then I quickly realized that, it takes a lot of, you know, just skill and time and talent to get those photos. And then actually, I guess I kind of transitioned then, you know, trying to get the duck photos and it kind of was like, you know, I was excited about it. But then also as I was doing that, then, you know, different hunting seasons would come around. And so I'd be taking, you know, just the pictures of whatever I was doing. And I'd always bring my camera with me. And so then it kind of switched more into, you know, just taking pictures of, you know, those small moments and not just like a grip and grin photo, but, you know, the behind the scenes or the, you know, glassing from the truck or just
all those little,
all those kind of shots. And those just got me, you know, fired up, because then it just tells a story so much more than just, you know, a picture of a duck that looks cool. You know, I'd show my cousin, they'd be like, oh yeah, like, yeah, cool photo, but I mean, it's just, you know, it's just a duck or, you know, whatever. So I'd be like, yeah, I mean, kind of right, I guess. And so then I really liked shooting those lifestyle, or not necessarily like a hunting lifestyle, just in the moment photo. And I really
I think
like
that's
doing
the one
those.
thing I was going to say about your photos. Your photos tell stories. And I feel like it's really hard you know, I look at like what really good photographers can do is they could tell a story with a photo, one photo. And like, I look at like one of my favorite ones that you did was that, and like, I'm going to have you break it down for us here in a little bit, but like I believe it was somebody sitting there with the turkey. You're in that barn, I think it was, and you had him like backlit, and it was just like, there's just so much emotion in like the photo. It was like, it wasn't just, you know, it wasn't like you said, it wasn't a grip and grin and gritty. It was just like you had like the subject was backlit, but it was dark, but yet it was like moody, and it was like, it's just like, it was like, oh, it's a good photo, you know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I love that one. And it's always a bummer kind of when you post something like that on, you know, social media and you're like, I didn't get as much hype as I, you know, wanted it to, or like thought it should or whatever. But that one was a pretty sweet little, you know, photo shoot with my brother and my cousin. And
sweet.
I was just like, guys, they had just shot turkeys or whatever, and I think they actually put them in the freezer for like a day till I could get home from college. And so I was like, yeah, guys, put those in the freezer. I'll be home in, you know, 2 days from school or whatever, and then we can. I got awesome. Like a sweet idea in mind, and so, you know, I got home. We kind of thought them out a little bit and drove around, and I was just looking for a barn somewhere, and I was like, it ended up being about, I don't know, 6-7 miles from my house. I saw this sweet barn. I went and asked the, you know, landowner, hey, can I, you know, take pictures in your barn? And it was like really run down. And she was like, you want to do what? I was like, yeah, I hear you. I love water, outdoor photography, and that's kind of something I'm passionate about. And I just really think the barn would give it a cool feel to get a photo with this turkey. And she's probably thinking like, this guy probably just shot turkey off my property or something. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I guess so. And so we drove down the road back to the farm and, walked in, and then I saw the loft and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is exactly what I was looking for. And so we went up there too and got some shots and a couple of videos and stuff. And
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely some of my favorite photos,
Do you print your photos?
I mean, I have a couple. I guess I could show them real quick. They're just because they're right here. But yeah, I've only printed a couple just because,
love that.
I don't know, money. But
yeah, for sure.
A couple of those is
nice.
All. But this one's sick. Not mine. That I don't know, probably Walmart or something. My wife got that. I'm not really sure.
So break it down for us a little bit. I just want to tap into kind of your creative mindset. Like I said, like you do a really good job of telling the story through your photos, but maybe it's for other people that are out there learning to take photos, or kind of just like you said, like you got to learn and cut your teeth somewhere. But break us down just a little bit, like what goes into your head if it's in the field, making sure you get your backlighting your subjects or whatever that, like, just break down that process for me. If you're going through and like, you just shot a bird, what steps are you taking next to get those photos?
That's a great question. I would say like first thing is like telling whoever I'm with, like, all right, we got to like take some actual time. It's always frustrating when someone wants to get going or whatever, or, if last year I shot one before school started, and so then I had to run, go right away, and that kind of makes me sad. So first of all, I'm like we got to take some serious time and get definitely get some really cool photos. And then I'm looking for a spot. If I can find, a barn, any kind of cool structure, like an old truck or something like that in a property, just anything that's going to be a little bit different than just, trees in the background, I guess. So I'm looking for a spot. And then, I would say just looking for like ways to position the turkey, I guess, like just, get a couple holding it up from different, views, and making sure that, my subject or my turkey is kind of, lit up, but the sky isn't like overwhelmingly bright or anything like that, I guess, either. So it is nice to have a cloudy day is usually pretty nice, unless you can position the sun, sweet, but sometimes you just get a weird glare. You get, your subject is too bright or something like that, or you get a weird shadow. But so a cloudy day is honestly just, legit. Perfect. But it doesn't always happen that way, I guess.
Giant softbox.
What's that?
I said it's a giant softbox.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's hard to, change that lighting or whatever, if it's there. But anyways, yeah, and then kind of a cool position. Like I see just guys on, Instagram, and that's actually where I get quite a bit of creativity, I guess. I've always heard the quote, like, great artists steal, and so you just see it's true. Yeah, I mean, you see something cool on Instagram, but you make it your own. Right, that's exactly it. You make it your own, but it's so sweet. I just like, when I'm scrolling through, and I'll save something to like this collection of, hey, this is just like turkey hunting pictures that I want, like that I kind of have in my head, and then you kind of find your own spot, and then give it your own twist and kind of make it your own. And that's what I love to do. And then the editing is just like the most fun part. I mean, like you can, and I listened to one of the podcasts before, but I think you guys touched on it, like you can just make that photo come to life, and what different photographers look for, or different artists like change a photo, is just awesome. Cause it's them with their photo that they took. And like, I could send the original photo that I took, of that one in the barn, and I could send it to, 3-4 other guys, and they would all probably edit it different, and it would look sweet. So, I mean, just putting your own creative touch on it, and maybe, I don't know, saving the settings as a preset then, and then trying to use that on other ones. And then you still got to kind of mess around with all the settings, but it's just super fun to try to.
And I would imagine that you're shooting all your photos probably in RAW or like a RAW JPEG hybrid and stuff, or for sure editing them in RAW. But like, what are you using for, like, obviously you said like you get the R6, like you got the RF 70-200. Like, what's your lens setup that you're shooting with too?
Yeah, I don't have the RF 70-200 because
okay.
I'm just a teacher, but
so they're not cheap. They don't give them away. That's true.
No, that's right. So I got a adapter and got a Sigma,
Dude, I love
70-200.
Sigma glass.
I love it. I think I've had no issues with it. It works great. The glass is, it's really clean. I got it on, Facebook Marketplace. Nice. I'm always kind of looking on there for anything. And so found it on there, and I think it was like $700 or something like that, which, I mean, for that lens that's a great deal. And so then the $100 adapter for it. So that's what I'm running, the R6, and then, the adapter to change it to the EF to the RF, adapt. But anyways, and it runs sweet for photos and video. I haven't had it, I don't know, do anything goofy. So it's been good.
Nice. Dude, I love it. And do you feel like, so now that you have capabilities really to do, with that, especially with that camera, you could pump out some crazy video specs. Like, are you doing more video now than you ever were?
Definitely doing a lot more video than I used to, especially with the old Nikon that I had. I mean, that was basically all photos, and I did video some turkey hunts, and you can definitely see the quality change in that. But I would say definitely doing a lot of videos now, and sometimes you're kind of in that, like, all right, do I take pictures here when this, turkey's coming up, or do I get it on video? Like, that's always kind of tough, but I usually go with video. And then the other thing that is sucky is, like, do you shoot it vertical for Instagram Reels, or do you shoot it horizontal for just, a nice picture to put on the TV or on YouTube or whatever? And, like, I always find a battle with that, because, like, I like to, put my stuff out there and show it, and it's got to be, one way, but that's not always the best way for what you're trying to show. So it's, you can always post a horizontal video, vertical, and then somebody's just got to tilt their head like this, and it works. But
well, that's like the crazy thing nowadays, though. I mean, you look at like all these cameras, even like we're talking about like Luke's 90D that he has. I mean, like I think that one shoots 4K 24, and then it'll shoot out you can shoot 120 frames a second in HD, but like the specs are so crazy nowadays. Like, I mean, you could shoot a full frame shot, and then you could just crop it in, and like you're good,
Right. Yeah, no, that's for sure. It is really nice having the R6 that can do, 4K at 60 frames per second is pretty cool. And I mean, it'll fill up your SD card quick, but it's worth it to have just that crispiness, and it looks really good. And then you can slow it down and do a slow-mo, portion or whatever. And I'll do that. I'll kind of trim a video up and put some of it in slow-mo, and then, kind of have it normal, and then back to slow-mo. And it has turned out pretty awesome. So I love it.
Awesome.
Sweet. Are you I know you said you kind of started doing some videography with that hunter out in Idaho. Are you doing anything currently right now for anyone else?
I am not doing anything. I mean, other than a couple like companies, sometimes smaller companies will reach out and hey, can you take some pictures of our boots or something like that? So they'll send me a couple pairs or whatever. And honestly, like, as far as like pricing goes for anyone like kind of getting started, like it's up to you, I guess. I usually try to, build that relationship with the company a little bit first, and maybe I'll do something for, just the product or whatever. But then it is hard to know, like, well, they probably definitely have products on, that they're not going to do anything with anyway. So they try to get, to get that free, picture or whatever for their website that's going to sell them boots. But I really don't care. Sometimes I just want, it gives me another opportunity to go out and take some photos and test my skills a little bit and see, kind of what kind of skills I'm good at or that I need to work on with, product shots or whatever. And so that's kind of all I really do now, I guess, is just a little bit of that. And then more so it's kind of turned into a hobby now that, I got a full-time job and stuff like that. It makes it, and, a family now and, a wife and baby on the way. So it's going to be just tougher. So yeah, thank you.
No, that's going to be exciting, man. I mean, to just kind of pivot to that kind of like the family, the family life and everything. We kind of just want to dive in now here too about, get a little bit more of your life story. I know you talked about how you kind of got into hunting with your dad and the family deer camp and stuff. And now with, a little one on the way in September, right?
Yeah. End of September. So,
yeah.
Actually the due date is thank you. The due date's 2 days after my birthday. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that ends up.
I'm a September birthday too. They're the best.
There you go.
It is the best. It's always like the second weekend of duck hunting. And so I usually try to go out for my birthday or whatever. Nice. And so that'll be fun to now do with, my son or daughter in the future, which I'm just, tickled pink about. So.
Absolutely. No, that's exciting, man. We're happy for you and congratulations again. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just kind of now, just kind of pivoting here to, like your faith journey a little bit more here. So how do you kind of see like that connection between your own, personal faith journey and, you've had, I'm sure, tons obviously of experiences out in the woods and out in just outdoors with doing all this photography and videography. So how does that kind of shape, like your view of the world and your kind of understanding of God and his presence out in nature?
Yeah, no, that's an awesome question. I'll just kind of bring it back even more. My dad and, or my parents, I should say, have been just really awesome example, with raising me and my brother and sister. And, that kind of started from my grandpa. And so that, just like I talked about at the hunting camp, like that's our family thing. Like my uncles and, I grew up with like 14 cousins on my dad's side. And like, we all were like going to the same church and like seeing each other in sports and, we're always around each other. And so that like just set me up great for my entire life. I mean, my best friends were my cousins, and awesome. One cousin in particular was born like 8 days apart, and so we were just like basically brothers.
Nice.
And so and that was awesome though, because I mean, we did some crazy things, but it was always like, we were always like there for each other and like and sharpening each other, like iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. And that was literally us with all through high school and with, different relationships and stuff like that. We were always able to be super, super open and all the way through college. And we ended up both wrestling at UW Eau Claire together too. And
sweet. Awesome.
And so it was just like to always have that closeness and openness with, one of my cousins, and that's been huge for my faith journey and kind of, we started a Bible study at Eau Claire and at the wrestling on the wrestling team, and that was always huge too, to like just have that community where you can open up to the guys and just have that time to grow in your relationship with the Lord and dive through the Word and but just having the brothers there around you and supporting you with whatever you were going through. I mean, like you guys said, and you played football and at RCTC. Yeah. Like you got so many guys from different walks of life. And so to come together, like your challenges are all different. And so just being there for one another, and your faith journeys are all different too. And so I think that was encouraging too, to like see guys that were, at a different, spot in their faith journey at a different pace and encouraging them, but then also feeding off of, my cousin and then another really good friend of ours and feeding off of them and what they do in certain situations. And they'd give me wisdom and I'd try to, give them some wisdom too. And so my faith journey really grew a lot. I mean, I would say I was always had a relationship with God through, elementary, middle school, high school, but really in college is when I think it really grew. And I knew that, my Jesus Christ is my savior, and like
Yep.
everything revolves around me wanting to honor him and in everything I do. And so actually the shirt I got on is the AO1, and that was kind of a thing too with you see it a
Nice.
lot at college, I guess,
Yeah.
too, with
Yep.
Christian athletes, like for an audience of one and doing everything for the Lord. And so that was kind of a big thing too, just with wrestling, and then but in hunting too, and not getting too caught up in the just all the social media and everything like that, and try not to get too sucked into it, but then also realizing like, hey, I have a platform here, at least on a somewhat the smaller scale or whatever, to try to show my followers or whoever like that this is who I'm trying to honor while hunting or taking photos or videos, and try to do that the best I can, and just have a lot of fun with that. And so yeah, still on the that faith journey, and trying to grow in every area I can, and especially now as like I've been married for about a year and a half, 2 years, and so that definitely adds some challenges, and trying to sharpen each other and love each other well, and honor the Lord in our relationship. And then now a new challenge with a baby on the way, and just trying to get ready for that, and like how are we gonna do our best to lead our kids in a way that's gonna raise them up and set them up for success, and with a relationship with God. And so definitely a huge part of my life, and every part of my life, I guess, too. So but yeah, that's kind of my journey.
I love it, man.
That's awesome.
You're preaching. I love it.
Yeah, beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. There's a lot to go into, and I've had just so many people that were there for me and helped me out, and everything. And so yeah, it's been awesome.
No, and I think like we've hit it on a bunch of times throughout these episodes, but I think that intertwinedness of faith in the outdoors is such a it's like it's just so intertwined, because you are able to, like you said earlier, you see a guy at Shields with a hunting company shirt on, and immediately you guys can strike up a conversation. Well, it's the same thing with your faith. It's like you're out hunting with each other, you're out fishing with each other, and you're out in God's creation, where you can just strike up that conversation. Just all the things you just talked about. There's so many little rabbit holes that we can dive down, but it's just it's so cool to start talking to people like yourself, and be able to kind of just share each other's stories, and like just get into it and preach the word of God. And it's just a beautiful thing that I think that is starting to be a more, you see it more often, right? A little bit across social media. And I think that's a really nice thing to see, especially just kind of how things have been going on lately, but I love it, man.
Kind of going off of what you're saying, Luke, and we said in our last podcast with Dan, but Sam, what words of encouragement would you have for maybe just some young minds that are out there? You talked a little bit on, like I'm a fellow athlete too, for playing college football and stuff. And you talked about you guys started a Christians, athletes group where you guys can pray and talk with one another. But like Luke, you're just saying too, that's where it's so cool with the outdoors and just hunting and fishing and just in general, where that barrier of trying to talk to somebody gets broken down so easily, because it's like, oh God, you love the hunt. Cool. So like, just give me just give some words of encouragement, cause obviously it's sometimes it's hard to have that courageous conversation with somebody and ask somebody about their faith. And obviously it seems like you're pretty vocal about that. Like, what have you done, or like, what advice could you give for some young people out there to have those conversations, to open that door of talking about, just talking about Christ?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, you gotta be bold. It's something that it's hard to do, but it always works out, generally it always works out well and positive if you can be bold and share, whatever you're going through with someone that you see as, someone that could, be a leader or kind of like a disciple, for you, I guess. And and that's kind of goes into the next piece of advice is with being bold is you gotta start somewhere and find people. I mean, church wasn't really meant to be watched online, and you gotta surround yourself with people that are gonna love you, and no matter what. And I think that was a huge part about you know, being on the wrestling team, or even growing up in high school and having my cousin. I mean, we went through some, or I went through like, some battles, and, just like whether, it's just fighting sin or whatever, and like just trying to, get through things. You have that somebody there to talk to and help guide you through whatever it is that you're going through. So having that community or somebody is huge, because it helps you kind of, keep things in the light rather than, feeling guilty about yourself or just, I mean, it's so freeing as well to like talk to somebody really and open up and not, I mean, I just think of the times that I just like felt guilty or like whatever. And then, they kind of talk about it in the sports world, I guess, too, with like, you're just probably not going to perform as well if your mind's just like, not feeling free or open or whatever. And so just like, but finding a community or somebody to reach out to helps just open things up, I guess, and know that, other people may be going through the same thing, and so they kind of either can give you advice or whatever. And so I think that's huge, is just finding the community. And I know, like I said earlier, you got to be bold, and you just kind of got to do it, I guess. It is something still that is hard, even with someone like myself, who I guess would, get along with just about anyone, or I'm pretty social. Like even then, my wife and I, we started going to a new church, and once we got married, and like, even for us, it was a challenge to, we're like, no one else is, like our age or likes to hunt or whatever. And it's like, who cares? You just gotta like do it. And we started, going to a Bible study,
That's awesome,
with some people there, and then you start building those relationships with people that you don't even necessarily have things in common with.
Right.
And so it's just kind of starting somewhere and being bold and taking that, leap of faith, I guess, and doing that. So that's probably the best piece of advice, is like, you gotta have somebody else to talk with and help sharpen you. And I think that's a big thing. And like I've mentioned it now 1,000 times, but wrestling, and but another thing too was like I was getting discipled too by another older guy, and I think that was super healthy too. Someone that had a lot more wisdom than just like my cousin, who's also my age and going through the same exact thing. Having somebody that's a little older than you, who's a little bit wiser and has been through probably similar things is huge too. So.
Damn, I love it, man. That's awesome.
Good. That's good.
I like that. The bold thing. I like it. But it's so true, because there are those times, like, and I've caught myself doing it too, where it's like, be in the grocery store, be at church, wherever, and you kind of like, you're almost guarded a little bit to like open yourself up to other people. But when you do, you find there's so much beauty in it. And, a lot of times, especially for myself, I find that when it directly relates to my faith, and then it directly relates to, when you can have that, weave it into being in the outdoors with someone, because it's a lot, outdoors is a lot like life, where you're going through all these trials and tribulations for a certain goal. And a lot of times you can't get there yourself. So whether it's, outside or outdoors, you're with somebody who can help you. But with life, you're with someone who can help you every single day. And that's God, that's Jesus. And it's just, that's when you said that be bold thing. I love that. I'm gonna steal it and make it my own.
Hey, do it.
That's
awesome. Dude. Yeah,
I love it.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Obviously we're talking about faith here, but where, with faith, your love of the outdoors, your love of your own, your faith, how do those kind of just enrich your own personal life, as whether it's at a spiritual level, mental level, or even just some of the, honestly, the physical benefits that kind of come from just immersing yourself, not only in nature, but in Christ.
Well, I mean, it's being in the outdoors. There's nothing like it, and it's and I think the greatest thing about it is just seeing God's creation. I mean, it's God is everywhere, and you definitely see it when you're out in His creation. And sometimes it's hard, and I gotta kind of remind myself, like, I gotta not get too caught up in sometimes like the hunt and the greed and the selfishness or greediness that kind of comes with that. And it's like, I mean, everyone does it. So awesome. You get the adrenaline rush and everything like that. And, but just kind of like taking, time too, to like, just like be thankful and just say, thank you, Lord, when you hammer a turkey or whatever, and you're all jacked up and you run and get it. And you're just like, yes, thank you, Lord. Like, it might not have happened, or the tom might not have been where you needed it to be or whatever. You might have made a bad shot on a buck or whatever. And so I think just being thankful and, that is one of the best ways to, honor, God while being in the outdoors. And, so yeah, that's kind of where I see, God in the outdoors is just His creation. And then also the bonds that you're building with people that you're taking out. I've taken, like I told you earlier, like I've taken out some guys for their first bird. And that is just the most fun, because you see their excitement, but then you also can get to know them a little bit more too when you're out in the woods with someone. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. So like, tell me a time though, not like flipping the script here, but because like Luke, you alluded to it a little bit. It's not always sunshine and rainbows out in the woods or out in the lake. Sometimes it's just downright, just you're getting tested, man. Nasty. And so just tell me like a time, a hunt or a story or whatever you got where you just feel like, I've got a handful of them, but like where nothing you did was going right. And, it's like one of those things, it doesn't have to be a perfect ending where it finally like worked and you end up getting a bird or you got a buck or whatever it is, but you just have like a particular story you could think of where it's like, man, that was gritty.
Yeah. One actually just kind of came in my mind right now. I was taking out so I would have been like a sophomore in college, and one of the seniors on the wrestling team, real good guy, and I learned a lot from him, and we were about the similar weight, so we wrestled each other all the time. Nice. And just had some absolute grinders of practices and bloody noses, and nice. But he kind of showed interest a little bit in hunting, and I was like, dude, yeah, like I'll take you for sure. And we had never like hung out really ever, outside of being at practices or going to meets and stuff like that, or tournaments. And so he really wanted to shoot one with his bow. And so we went out the first day on, I believe it was on, that Wednesday of opener of the season or whatever. And I think it was a later season. So the birds are a little bit tougher to get at, and you really got to be smart. And I remember he's never turkey hunted. I don't think, I don't think he may have deer hunted before this, but never turkey hunted. And so he's a pretty good shot with his bow. He shot all the time. He was like always taking videos and put him on a story of him shooting in his house and everything. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. But now I'm kind of doing the same thing, I guess. Right. And but so he was really excited, and it was just downpouring. And we had a hen come by, and we did hear some gobbles, and we had two toms that were like staying just at like, I don't know, 60 yards or whatever. And they just would not, kind of at that line, they did not want to come in. And it was raining. And so they just kind of wanted to go meander out in the field. And so whatever, they didn't end up coming in. And I kind of felt bad. Like I'd love to get somebody that, experience. And when it doesn't happen, it's kind of sucky. And so we try again the next morning. It's raining again. So kind of like you said, just the bitter, sweet moments, but the kind of a little bit of embracing the suck. And so it's raining, it's wet, and we were driving, and we had been hunting now a couple times and not really had anything close or any luck. And so we ended up driving and saw a tom out on this field, and it was walking towards this hill. And if you know anything about turkey hunting or, reaping turkeys or sneaking up on them, like a hill is
It's the best thing you
sent
have.
from the Lord. Like, it is the greatest thing ever. It will change the game. So we just got out of the truck, started armory crawling. He really wanted to shoot one with that bow, like I mentioned, but I was like, dude, we just got to take the gun. Like, this is not, I just want to get you one. This is not a bow. This is not a bow moment.
Yeah.
And so we're army crawling and we get kind of up by this hill, and I got just a turkey fan, nothing else, just the fan. And I kind of pop my head up and I can see the tom, and I, kind of putt a little bit with my mouth call, and then kind of peek up again, and he's doesn't really care. He's not coming to us. He's got some hens. And so we kind of crouch a little bit more and peek my head up, and I kind of just twist the fan or shake it just a little bit. And I kind of come back down, and I'm sitting there, and, we're soaked with mud. I mean, it's muddy, and it's in the spring and rain. And I mean, this field is covered in mud. So we're just caked in it. And I pop my head back up again, and the tom is like, now he's like 20 yards closer. So I'm like, okay, he's coming. So I had him get the gun ready, and the barrel is probably like right next to my head or something like this.
Boy.
And I was like, I'm like, he's going to come. He's just got to be ready. And so I kind of looked out again, and the thing's like 15 yards. And so basically I said, Grant, I'm going to drop the fan, and literally his head's going to be right where you're aiming. And so I just went like this. I didn't even get a watch. So I went like this, over my ear and my head, and I dropped my fan, and boom. And he said as literally as soon as I dropped the fan, he didn't even have to move his gun. The bead was right on the head, and he shot it at like 10 yards or 15 yards or whatever it was.
Oh, fun, man.
And we just danced around and hugged each other and looked like just a bunch of goons and people. I mean, it wasn't far off the road. People probably thought we were crazy, and we're just soaked in mud. And I mean, the thank yous that I got from him were just unreal. I mean, he thanked me so many times, and I just felt it was so special because we had been through kind of the dumps with the rain and everything like that, and we were able to get it done. And
that's a good story, man.
On such a crappy day. And it was just like so special to be able, kind of as a younger classman to take out, the wrestling captain or whatever, and someone that I kind of looked up to. And he's just like, now today lives out in Colorado and is always like texting me, hey, you got to come out and, go on a mule deer hunt or an elk hunt or whatever. And,
awesome.
And just the extreme like thankfulness and that bond that we now have. And we're just like, we'd do anything for each other because of that hunt and probably just, the relationship that was built and through that time. So that's one story that I was like,
that's a good one.
Just the
embrace the suck.
Yep.
Embrace the suck.
That's you gotta do it.
And there was light at the end of the tunnel for this one, thankfully. Sometimes there's not, and you still have fun, but this one, it's definitely sweeter when you're coming out a little bit heavier than going in. So
absolutely. Gosh, that's awesome.
I love it. That's a good one. All right, guys. Well, we just want to give a huge thank you to Sam for jumping on the podcast. Like we said, he unfortunately, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty in our studio, and we lost the last little bit, 10 minutes of him giving us our closing prayer and just kind of going through our goodbyes. But I will say the man was preaching, so it was really good. So I'll do my best to kind of mimic that. But let's go ahead and just take a minute here and man, I got some crazy flow here going on right now. Take a minute and just kind of catch yourselves. And dear Lord, we just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to getting to know Sam and letting him spread your good word, and just for putting us together today for this podcast and just giving us the opportunity to, share our love for the outdoors and share our love for you, dear Lord. And we just thank you so much. And we just pray that you watch over everybody that's listening to this podcast, and that hopefully we can keep reaching more and more people to spread your name, dear Lord. And we just pray that you watch over everybody this spring here for this turkey season and keeping everybody safe. And we're so thankful for everything, dear Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. That was good, man.
Yeah. Great episode. Can't wait to meet the guy in person.
I know. Another one in the books. It's crazy to think that we are already on this is episode 9. So I mean, we're one away from our milestone of 10. Obviously, we've had more with turkey talk and stuff, but it's flying by. It's been fun. So thank you guys once again so much for everyone for listening, for all your support. And, we pray for everybody that's listening, and we just hope we continue to keep growing this thing for everybody out there, just to inspire people to get outdoors and just inspire to learn more about God. And we're like I said, we're super thankful, and we're looking forward to keep giving you guys awesome content. So till next time.
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.